Hello and welcome to Hit the Bricks.
Everything that's interesting about Guthrie, Oklahoma. I think I'm going to sing that next time.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
We need a jingle.
That'd be cool.
Jim, can you help us with the jingle?
I will. You bet. I can get that going.
Right on.
Hit the bricks, huh?
Hit the
There you go.
bricks.
Hit the bricks. It's not really cowboy, but we can probably figure something out.
They had bricks back in olden cowboy times, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're different kind of
Okay,
bricks.
that's it.
Enough of that.
So, thank you, Jim, for being here today. Jim Garling, Cowboy Jim Garling.
Thank you very much for having me on today.
Studio audience is really excited.
Yeah,
To be
even got my shirt on. I love it.
here. Merle is behind the camera wearing a Cowboy Jim Garling
Yeah,
t-shirt.
I love it.
The official Cowboy Jim fan club is here.
It's a good thing it keeps me in line on who I am.
Mhm.
I can keep looking at that and saying, oh, that's me.
It reminds you.
It's supposed to be me.
Do you ever wear your own T-shirt?
Oh, absolutely. Changing
Awesome.
oil,
Right.
rotating
On the
tires.
yard.
Yeah.
I'm on the yard.
Right on. Chris, what's been going on around Guthrie? Anything?
Man, I don't. Interesting? Does it have to be interesting?
Oh, our little subtitle says interesting, but
Oh.
there's loose interpretations of what
Yeah,
interesting
well,
means.
there's a lot of construction, tearing down, building up along Division
I
Street.
saw that like South Division, a couple of buildings are being torn down. Like
Torn down, yeah.
An old gas station, and a place that's been a few different restaurants. Once upon a time, when I first moved to Guthrie, it was the Brahms.
Yes, I remember as a little kid swinging on the little metal poles in front of the ice cream a long time ago. So that's how long that building's been there.
That was a super nostalgic
Yes,
statement.
yes. It's like these other businesses better keep going really well, because if you don't do well, you can get your buildings turned down. But no.
Oh wait, we need to start this conversation with the fact that these are not historic buildings.
Correct.
That are being torn down.
Totally not.
Yeah.
That is always important.
We
to
just
talk
stopped a riot
Absolutely.
by saying that.
So they're coming down. And those buildings are on Oklahoma Land Commission land, and so not Guthrie Public Schools, but the Oklahoma Land Commission, a government agency. And I would probably think they might be easier to lease or sell to any future businesses instead of having those buildings on there. So I don't know if that's the exact reason, but there's also a building going up pretty soon, medical facility.
Oh yeah.
By Fairgrounds Road,
Yep.
right across the street from Sam's Southern Eatery and Advanced Medical Care. And
Yeah.
dirt work started yesterday.
I've noticed that every building in Guthrie gets referred to as different things by different people, depending on what it was when it first opened.
Right.
Because the new medical place opening there in front of the fairgrounds, the place across the street, depending on who you talk to, it's either the old Pizza Hut or the old Mexican restaurant, or now it's the medical supply.
That's medical.
Advanced medical, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so it's always fascinating to see what people attach to buildings in their mind.
Well, and when you go to these other places, especially the Brahms and the Pizza Hut, you can always tell they were a Pizza Hut because of the top of it.
Uh-huh.
And when the restaurant that went out before Advanced Medical went in there, I told the owner, I got me cut the top of it off so it doesn't look like an old Pizza Hut building. And he took my advice for one time and cut the top off.
Because the original, like Pizza Huts and original Taco Bells, those kind of places had an iconic structure.
Absolutely.
You could tell. What's that? Long John Silver's.
Yes.
Those original ones, they all had, like, an architect spent time to make sure this is what a Long John Silver's looks like.
Yes.
And you can always tell, like, when a copy shop or something somewhere was originally, a Taco Bell. Oh, that's the old Taco Bell. That's now, a loan office or something.
Yeah. People always talk about, there's not a lot of changing, but man, I think there's tons of changes over the last 10, 15 years, especially businesses.
Oh, no kidding.
I'm not counting all the hotels that come in on 35, 33 corridor, but man, there's a lot of stuff. New buildings. I'm at Meridian Technology getting ready to put a awesome building out on South Division. So I think, we brag on 35, 33 a lot, but man, there's a lot of happening on South Division.
The Meridian deal is
That's
pretty
cool.
phenomenal thing. Like having Meridian Votech here in Guthrie, a facility where, like, not only can the Guthrie school kids not have to be shipped all the way to Stillwater
Yeah,
anymore, which, like, that's a huge chunk of their day to go take whatever classes they need to take from the Votech. But having them be able to just, like, 2 minutes and they're in their Votech class, but also people in the community that take classes there.
Absolutely. I'm pretty good with Microsoft Word, but I would love to be a little bit better at Microsoft Excel
Oh, yeah.
and Microsoft PowerPoint.
Hey, I might teach a guitar class there because
Exactly,
I've
yeah.
taught Votech schools, you know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm ready for it to get built. When's it's going to start this thing?
Oh, that's a good question. Pretty soon, though. We'll go pretty soon.
I mean, I've seen the sign
Yes.
and thought, hey, I'm
Yeah.
going to make $1 here teaching guitar lessons, and it's like sitting there. So I was
Yeah, I think it's happening pretty soon.
wondering. Okay.
Yeah, they were.
That's a good answer.
They were waiting. They didn't want to really release it when they first broke ground, for whatever reason. But now I think they're getting really close. Really close.
It's kind of the standard answer for any construction project is pretty soon.
Or me mowing the yard.
Yeah.
Depends on the weather.
When are you going to do that?
Whenever you get it.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that.
You should teach guitar lessons or guitar classes at the Votech.
Yeah, I've done that before, and it's pretty cool.
Like a
10-week deal.
Like
Yeah.
a group class where you
Yeah,
learn-
group
That's really
classes and group fiddle classes. So, see, I'm not going to school, but I might be working there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know nothing about music. Zero. I don't know how to read music. I don't know what the notes are. I don't know any of that. So how long would it take me to play like Mary Had a Little Lamb or something?
In 20 minutes, I can have you playing 10 songs. Maybe
That is amazing.
maybe 20 songs. Yeah, that's true.
You used to be in sales, right? One time, that was such a salesman like answer.
You know, no, it's true. I mean, if you just give me just a little time, 2 little chords, I'll teach you 2 little chords, and hopefully you can sing in those chords.
Because I'm so far from music. Like our music guest last week,
Ryan.
yeah,
Jessica.
he was playing and he didn't use a pick. And so I didn't want to dumb the show down because I was like, well, like music geniuses up here. So I didn't want to dumb it down. But some people use picks and some don't. Is it callous? Does it hurt? If you
Not after about 20 years.
okay, all right.
You
But you're a cowboy. I'm a little wussy boy.
Only if you're cowboy,
Yeah.
Chris.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not a cowboy.
Yeah, so I'm excited about the Votech. That'll
That'd
be
be
neat.
very cool.
Another big project that people may or may not be aware of is the old hospital
Yes.
that just opened up for like senior. What's the
Senior living?
Living. Is that the right word? Senior living.
Senior retirement, really.
Yeah.
Senior, it's not assisted.
No, it's like apartments.
It is apartments, and they're nice. We got to tour that
Yeah.
the day they had their opening house, and they're nice rooms, and the apartments next to them. If you want something even bigger than that,
Yeah.
those are also available.
So if you don't know which place we're talking about, it's the old historic hospital in Guthrie. It's a mammoth place. This giant, cool old. It was originally the Benedictine nuns ran it as a hospital.
Yep.
And huge historic building, and they spent an absolute fortune restoring this place, and really pretty mind blowing to walk through it. And it's probably not haunted anymore.
Probably not.
Probably not. It
Probably
was
not.
One of the most haunted places in Oklahoma, I think.
All those stories went away.
Yeah, it was so funny how everybody talked about how they used to try to sneak into there, and kind of like the Dominion House.
Well, and they had a great neighborhood patrol area because there was, if anyone even walked up to it, they were calling the police, and I think they actually had video cameras in there too, so
yeah.
police could actually kind of watch it a little bit and get the hooligans out of there.
Now, I didn't grow up in Guthrie.
You got here
So
as
I-
fast as you could, though.
Yes, so I can definitively say that when I was a teenager, I didn't sneak into any of these haunted places.
The old Dominion House.
Yes, because I wasn't here. I didn't live here, so that's why I didn't sneak into them. I'm sure you didn't either.
I didn't.
No.
I didn't.
But we had a number of places in Louisville where I grew up that were haunted and terrifying, and we might have exploited them.
We might try to sneak into them tonight.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Alright.
it's never too late.
We can edit that out real quick.
It wasn't us.
It might be haunted for us now.
Right.
if we did that.
But I think they even at that place I know that the company that remodeled and restored it bought all of like doors and windows and all kinds of stuff from Ace Hardware here in town. So it was all like so much of that was bought locally, and they spent tons of money like here within Guthrie city limits. It was a pretty big project, not only for that company but for the local contractors and stuff. So
Cool.
Yeah, and there's a lot of activities for the kids now. The splash pad over at Banner Park is
that place
up
is
and
out of
going.
control.
It is good numbers already.
Kids are loving that place.
Absolutely. Swimming pool. The
Yep.
cement pond is open.
Yeah. My son's been over there twice already.
Already?
Yeah.
After his cross country runs?
He needs to time that better because he went before.
Oh.
Yeah, he was pretty disgusting.
Yeah, it's so. Yeah, you gotta do that before. Cool off afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know how your kid was, but I picked up my son. Cross country summer practice has started.
Okay.
And so my kid gets into the truck, and he just looks mad. He looks angry. He's been like running like miles in the super like sweaty heat, and he's just like, ugh. He sits in the car, and he just looks like he's just something horrible's happened. How you doing? He's like, I'm really good. That was great. I love cross country. But his face does not like he can't
correspond
Yeah,
with
he
his
can't convince
feelings.
his
Yeah.
face that he actually enjoys it, even though he does, and his inside is brain.
There you go.
Well, they only went 4 miles yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a
No
slow
big
day.
deal.
It was a
Right.
slow day for 4 miles. So there was a question I was going to ask you. Oh, I was talking to my kids about the park. Minerals, is there any timeline on the park updates?
Oh, for the
New toys and the parking?
that's a really good question. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down in my brain for another episode. We can have a
Yeah.
park update. That'd be cool.
That
'Cause
would be cool.
the city got a grant to do a bunch of really cool updates to Mineral Wells Park,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
including a splash pad and new ADA accessible playground equipment and some resurfacing of some of the parking and
Yeah.
stuff. So even though that's already a pretty iconic, fantastic park, it's gonna have a bunch of new stuff there. It already has like the brand new basketball court
Yep.
and tennis courts.
Pickleball?
And pickleball. I still don't know what that is.
Me neither.
No.
The
They
mayor.
have an age limit on the splash pad.
Oh,
I'm just curious.
I
I'm
don't
just
think so.
curious.
When we go break into places tonight, we'll just go
You
turn on the splash
you try to
pad.
save it on your water bill at home.
Yeah.
Go take a shower at the
Get-
splash pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 o'clock will be all right.
Yeah.
So have you had enough rain?
Oh yeah, I kind of live on a hill between two draws here in
Uh-huh.
Guthrie, so we've probably had 100 million gallons go into Lake Guthrie, between us. But thank goodness we live between them.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a few residents message me about water coming out of the ground. They thought it was a water leak, and so the city has gone out to a few of these places and
Yeah.
and have field tested the water, and it's not treated water. And I was talking with Penny Maker, and he said that we've had so much rain, it's basically the ground still draining the water, so it goes down the curb, so it looks like a water line break. Like,
Right.
but it's
Yeah.
actually water still coming out of the earth.
Yeah.
The ground's still sweating. And coming through, so that's how much rain we've had. It's crazy, but yeah, I always thought, man, there's a lot of water leaks around here, but that's not the case. It's the ground sweating.
That's super weird.
That's
I've never
super
heard that before.
weird. So when you're driving around or walking around, you see water going in, it's probably not a water leak. It's just a bunch of rain.
When you talk about things like the splash pad at Banner and the swimming pool at Highland, the splash pad is going to be over at Mineral Wells. I was thinking the other day when I saw that the splash pad over at Banner was just full of kids having a fantastic time. Like how incredible that is for those kids. Like for for 4-year-olds getting to go out and play in the water and just run around like crazy, and they're not getting yelled at by a mom or dad.
Get out of the water.
They're just getting to have a super fantastic good time. That's gotta be fantastic for like brain development and
Right.
just like the overall well-being of kids. Like I think skyrockets with all that stuff that is in a community that we have right now.
And it gets kids outdoors. I think that's the
Oh,
biggest
gosh,
thing.
yeah.
I got a 10 and 14-year-old, and I got to get them outdoors more and more, just inside, sucking up the air conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my parents were really big into just get out of the house
Yes.
and don't come back.
Yes.
That was kind of their mantra, was like, I'm closing the door behind you, don't come back until like the street lights come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are kind of problem things. I remember the first time I took a grandson to Colorado. Of course, he's back in the back seat, and the thumbs are going. And I said, "Hey, John, look over here. There's a bunch of cows." He goes, "I've seen cows." It's like, be glad when we get up there and the battery dies.
Yeah.
You're like mountains.
It was the old battery type.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Lord, So
Look, there are mountains. I've seen mountains on YouTube.
I've seen mountains too. It's
No big
like,
deal.
okay.
Oh.
So,
Speaking of seeing things on YouTube, this is a really awkward segue, but it's what I got.
It's all good.
So, this Oklahoma State Legislature passed a new bill this past week, or the governor signed it this past week, expanding an incentive package for filmmaking in Oklahoma. So if filmmakers make a movie or a TV show in Oklahoma, if they use like Oklahoma crew members, if they spend a certain amount of money locally, that kind of stuff, they can get a rebate on some of their costs. And that bill, that legislation has been around for a while now. And so it's really increased the number of films that have been filmed in Oklahoma, which is great for local communities. They spend money at local places like Guthrie. They hire local folks to do different things. It's a really cool economic boom to Oklahoma. So it's been great. This year, this session, they expanded that incentive. They doubled it. So it used to have a cap, but once that amount of money was gone, you're out of luck. You couldn't get any more a rebate for your film. They doubled that amount of money from previous years, and so they're really expecting that to have a huge impact on how many films, TV shows, whatever, are done in Oklahoma. So it kind of adds to diversifying the economy of our state, which is pretty cool, especially for Guthrie, because we've had so many movies filmed here. Even since I've been working here with the city, usually if they're going to use like a city street or city property, they have to come through us for like forms and different
Permits
things.
and all that kind of stuff.
And it's kind of been like a constant thing since I've started here, just like film after film after film coming through that wants to shoot in Guthrie because they love like the scenery of downtown. They love like even the surrounding areas.
Yes.
The countryside. We kind of have a little bit of everything in our little area. From like, you can go a little bit west of town. There's flat kind of prairie stuff to like west of town. You get huge rolling hills. Whatever you want is within a stone's throw of Guthrie.
And even when they don't have all those deals, like when the movie Twister was here, they built like a whole little town down in the around what's that 5th Street area, 5th Oklahoma, 5th Harrison, somewhere in that area. They built a whole new set just so they can blow it away.
Yeah,
so that's very cool.
That scene in Twister where the tornado destroys the old drive-in.
Yep.
They built the drive-in theater, right?
Yeah. When they did that show, Twister, I had an RV dealership in Norman, and you've seen the old red Dodge pickup?
Yes.
Well, they right across the road from me was an airport, and they had 20 of those Dodge pickups, identical, and they had all these ramps made and these crazy drivers like you would not believe, and they'd make these scenes, and this guy would take these trucks and roll. We tried to buy them, and they said no liability, but anyway, it was kind of cool. They did a bunch of rolling trucks and speeding trucks down the airport. They're not really driving on a highway, but
Right.
they somehow sub that speed running down.
So there's 20 of those trucks. That's
they
amazing.
bought 20 of those trucks, and they destroyed 20 of those trucks during that movie.
Now that even though they wouldn't sell them to you, those trucks are like in somebody's backyard
Right,
somewhere,
right,
like a
right.
memento.
Probably.
Somebody probably figured out how to sneak one out of there.
And another kind of neat thing is we live out by Guthrie Lake, and so one night my wife Doris and I are sitting on our back porch, and it's like sounding really like thunder and these bright flashes of light, and we're going like, what? There's stars everywhere. Come to find out, just around Chris Madsen, they were down in this hollow recording in the woods down there, and they made rain. They had set up these things that sprayed water and lightning and thunder, and that was like a block from us, and it sounded like the real thing. We got down there and going, what is going on?
Could you imagine if social media was around when that happened?
Oh yeah.
Everyone would be freaking out.
Yeah, it's just like crazy. But anyway, they were there most of the night.
There was one, I can't remember which movie it was. They were filming in Guthrie, I think it was a few years ago, and they were over on Harrison, and it was a night shoot, and the temperature had gotten pretty chilly. Like it was maybe down into like the 40s, and it was they had to do rain, so they had some like kind of cranes with like a deal. They were making it rain on this scene, and I could see from like they had it blocked off. I was like down the other end of the street, kind of just like spying on them, and they all looked absolutely miserable. They were just like cold and wet, and they regretted their life choices and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, interesting.
Movie making is a hard business.
It really is. And my story, I'm not going to up it, but it was over by the temple late at night. This is like 10 o'clock at night. It was just after a football game, a junior high or freshman football game, something like that. Anyway, it is pitch dark, and they had like the sun was settling, and they had this big orange light with filters over it pointing toward the tree. It looked like it was a sunset actually on the front porch, and it was pitch dark. It was the small things like that. It's like, wow, that is movie magic.
All right, so you mentioned Twister.
Okay, well, that was a good story. All right.
All right. So
Moving on.
It was a good story. Well done. All right, so we're going to play a little game today.
Aaron, sun setting at 10 o'clock at night. It doesn't happen.
Isn't that a great story?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
there you go.
I've seen that what they do with blue filters and stuff like that, they'll shoot
See,
it
filters.
in the middle of the afternoon and they make it like it's at night.
Yeah, see.
They do like really wild stuff. There was one.
I just mentioned one. Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
They do wild things just like Chris just mentioned. There's a director that was a while back was looking for a bridge to use for a scene in the movie, and so I sent him a couple pictures of bridges that we have, and he mentioned that he needed it for like the scene was supposed to be like downtown Philadelphia. And I was like, well, we don't have like gigantic building. Like we're not Philadelphia, but I don't know if this will work. So I sent him just bridges, thinking that it like once he realized how small Guthrie was, he'd be like, oh, that won't work. But it's like literally like 30 seconds after I sent him the picture, he sent me back the same picture, but he just like photoshopped like this gigantic downtown behind the 5th Street Bridge.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is awesome, very cool. So they ended up using it in this movie.
Oh yeah, well I got another story here, and I'm trying to find the pictures.
Moving on.
No, real quick, one more story here, and I brought it. I think I brought it up on the show before, and if I can't find it here, I'll send it to Aaron for our video audience. But how they took City Hall, and then they, if you look at City Hall, where we're at right here, you can look and see green trees everywhere. Well, they put mountains behind City Hall. It looked like real mountains behind City Hall.
It makes you wonder, like when you watch anything on
Yeah,
music, you're
exactly.
like, is that real?
Is that real?
Yeah. It's all like,
Probably not.
it's all in a tourism office somewhere.
Rat topless or
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can't find it on the spot, and Fortney is keeping us on agenda, but I'll send it. So.
Oh, the name of it. I thought Aaron was like, it's Monday. Like, no, I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday.
I hope not.
Okay, so speaking. Okay, you can't use your phone on this.
Oh, I won't.
You can look at pictures, but you can't use Google. So speaking of movies that have been filmed in Guthrie, which ones can you guys think of? Can you name any of them that have been filmed?
Don't look at me.
Alright.
I'm terrible about that.
Twister. We mentioned.
Yeah,
Alright, Mr.
okay,
Twister.
good.
There are a couple other like of the real big name ones,
Rain Man,
starring
Tom Cruise,
Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman. And I can't remember who the female lead in Rain Man.
Bill Miracle?
So right
Bill
now,
Miracle.
I mean,
Was that she in Rain Man? I don't know if she was born.
what's old Steve's name? Who always rides that old car around town. He's always in all these movies.
Steve, the old car.
Banjo guy.
Oh, Maynard?
Yeah.
Is he in a bunch of movies?
Yeah.
So, in Twister, which had Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman.
And
You said not to use our phone.
Right, no phones.
The blonde.
the girl that was in that sitcom.
Yeah.
Mad About You.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Helen
her.
Hunt.
Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
Helen Hunt.
And it had the funny guy.
Not Dustin Hoffman. The OU hat on.
Yeah, because he
Felicity. No.
his name was not Felicity.
Yeah.
But he died, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. He was in the
Oh my God. A little King Polly.
yeah.
Rain Man.
Yeah.
Playing basketball. Yeah.
Fantastic scene. Anybody else famous from Twister?
Gary England.
Gary England.
Rick,
Yeah.
Rick Mitchell.
Yeah. It has the iconic scene.
It's
where-
still on TV all the time,
Oh yeah.
too. It's-
So I'm not going to worry about spoilers because if you haven't seen it by now, but there's the scene where like Helen Hunt and Bill Pullman are in the ditch, and they just happen to have like
A belt?
or something they can tie themselves.
Most people
to.
have a belt, but-
Well, sure, yeah, but yeah, that was a fantastic movie.
It really was. Like I said, it's like it was on like last week. It's on like TNT all the time. It's,
Oh, yeah.
It's well played all the time.
Right on.
Played all the time.
Like, any other movies you can think of?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How about the Williams Macy?
Which was called? You didn't hear Rudderless? It William H. Macy.
Yeah, the
Williams-
Rudderless.
Rudderless.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody see it?
Uh,
I heard it was good, but I didn't see it.
I haven't seen it.
It was filmed like a lot of it was downtown Guthrie. They did like inside some buildings, outside. They put up. It was about a father who'd lost his son, and he took his son's music and like recorded it. And they actually set up a big stage downtown. It's like kind of like a mock concert, and they actually used quite a few Oklahoma musicians in that movie. Travis Linville, Chelsea Cope, and maybe some other Oklahoma musicians. I can't remember who, but yeah, that was cool.
I'm gonna get this one off my mind because I know this one's on there. My heroes have always been Cowboys.
Yes. Okay. Talk about that because I've heard people say that movie was filmed here.
Mhm.
It was a little bit before like my time. You know it because you're from here.
Right.
So what was that movie about?
It was about a cowboy that loved the rodeo, and he had his dad. I believe it was Ben Johnson. I think I have the name right. Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson's a big name in the rodeo.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But he was Ben Johnson, the character, the grandpa, was also a rodeo guy, and the son was trying to continue on after advanced age, and trying to remember. There was a love story part of that as well, but it was filmed. At a house over on Logan or Mansour, just off of College, is where the guy lived over there. It was a big part of that was at the Lazy Arena, and a bunch of places downtown that I recognize. It's the women's care facility out on east of town over there where the nursing home, Best Western, all that stuff is over there.
Oh, yeah.
Eagle Ridge, I think is what it's called now. But yeah, it's got Guthrie all over the place downtown, so it's pretty cool.
It had Clarence Williams III in it.
Terrence Williams III.
Wasn't he the Mott's one
I have no idea.
No clue.
day?
And it had the iconic song, "I'm Starting to See My Father in Me." That's a
yeah.
cool song.
Who
And,
sang that?
I don't know who. I heard it on the radio the other day.
Willie Nelson too.
Willie Nelson?
Yeah, my heroes and all.
Yeah, my hero's always been Cowboys. Is that what I named this song? Is that? Okay, I said it right. Okay, because that just rung a bell. Yeah, hero's always been Cowboys. Yeah, good stuff though.
Yeah, right on.
The one that had the cute girls.
All right.
Hold on, the blonde Jessica Alba was one of them.
That was okay. The Killer Inside Me.
Killer Inside Me.
Yeah.
Mean guy.
Yeah.
Killer Inside Me, and the other blonde. Her mom's real famous.
Yep. Goldie Hawn's
Goldie
daughter.
Hawn's daughter. Yes.
Whatever her name is. And Ben Affleck's brother was in the movie. Casey Affleck.
Yeah, but those two were the
Right.
girls were the stars. Yeah, I remember walking down downtown Guthrie, and how that was a big deal.
Yep.
And actually, it was filmed right across. My in-laws live on 1400 block of Noble, and they used the house in the 1500 block of West Noble quite a bit for that as well.
Oh yeah. 'Cause at the end of the movie, spoiler, whatever house they were in, in the movie it catches on fire and burns down, like fake burning
Yeah,
down.
fake burning down.
Yeah.
Couldn't get the permit in Guthrie to actually
Right.
burn the house down. those city guys.
Oh,
yeah.
Rascals.
You wouldn't do it, huh?
So many jokes we can make. Another
Someone
one.
leaving a bunch off.
Elizabethtown. Did you ever see that?
Did not.
It had Legolas from Lord of the Rings, whoever that guy is. He's the elf in Lord of the Rings, but he was in that.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay, and then I remember. I'm getting off track. Maybe it's the same movie. Probably not. But I have to get off my mind. The one that was filmed like at the Hayes Funeral Home. I remember
that had the guy from Harry Potter.
Yes,
Um,
that's just what jogged my memory. Was that
The guy Malfoy from Harry Potter.
Yes.
He was in the movie, and
And I don't do the Harry Potter thing. And so I was like, yeah, there's a movie. Yeah, but XX is here. I was like,
yeah, I can't remember
So,
the name of that movie.
I was kind of had to force to do the story about it on news page, and
Oh yeah.
it was one well-read story. The words weren't in order, but the famous actor in town from Harry Potter was here.
Here's the rest of this list. There was a movie called Public Enemies.
Oh yes, that was big when I think I was in high school.
Cool. I never heard of it.
Yeah, it was even all video stores.
Right on.
Yeah,
Whatever those are.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You fry me, buy them.
Do you remember
Be
when?
kind, rewind.
Do you remember when Blockbuster even had like you could rent the VHS like players, and they came like these hard plastic shells where you
I
could
used to
drop-
manage a video store back
Really?
in the day. Yeah.
Which one?
Here in beautiful Guthrie, Mega Movies.
Oh
Where,
man.
where was it? What
Circus 1999. It was located next door to AutoZone.
So in that strip mall.
Yes.
Okay.
1616 South Division.
Oh, right on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it Mega Movies.
Mega Movies.
Was it gigantic?
Now a Chinese restaurant.
Is that
No,
what
I
it
don't
was?
know.
Might be, yeah. Well,
They left town.
Oh,
Yeah, they left town this week.
this week?
well,
Yeah.
Really?
Maybe it was last week. Yeah.
what the heck Johnny Depp in?
Public Enemy.
Yes, it was a huge deal.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, Johnny Depp, Christian Bale.
They were in Guthrie?
Yeah.
Really
cool.
Greta.
Yeah. What? Hey,
Dang.
hey, can you?
Oh.
We're having our I forget what they called. But can you let us know what year that was made?
It's 2009. 2009.
Okay, that's not what I'm thinking of then.
That's a different one then.
What?
Okay. Oh no, you're right. I was off a little bit. There was one when I was in high school. It was kind of a big deal because our classmate got to take off school to be in the movie, so she was
The Outsider?
like really big deal. So
Outsiders?
That's what, that was filmed in Guthrie. It had actually,
Outsiders filmed in Guthrie.
yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it had Stompy Rasmussen.
That was my classmate.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it was the Outsiders though. But yeah, Castagna was that's who I was referring to.
Huh. Right on.
Of course, probably was, and I'm wrong again. But yeah.
Now, there's the one movie, Teata. I think it was Teata that they covered Harrison Street in dirt.
Oh, was that movie?
I think
That was
so.
cool.
Yeah.
How they kept old.
Yeah. So like the entire block, they covered it with probably like like 2 or 3 inches of kind of sand and dirt
Yeah.
to make it look like it was 1895 or something.
And then when they were done, it looked like there was dirt all over the place.
Yeah,
They
just
cleaned
had
up
to
really well.
shovel it up and host it down.
I think Steve Brainerd was driving his car in that, and so we went down there one night, and he was driving this old car up the street, like 3 miles an hour, turn around, go back. And he did that about 20 times, and so we finally walked over and said, "What's going on?" He says, "Well, they can't get the timing right." So what was happening was this couple, which we hadn't even noticed, we're just watching Steve, this couple is walking down the street, and the camera's over here trying to get the couple walking down the street as the car goes by and is mirrored in the window. They're not really shooting the car. So it took like many times.
the meticulous nature of movies is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Like they have to be okay with doing the same thing over and over.
Steve was afraid he's going to run out of gas. No, I'm not.
And it was,
I'm kidding.
and it's the simplest scenes that they take for it. When I was over at the house by the temple with a cool sunset at 10 o'clock at night.
10 o'clock
10 o'clock.
But it was
Wow.
at night.
and I was there because
Oh my
my kid was gonna. Okay, I think you're
An
mocking me
Alaska
now.
shot. It must have been an Alaskan shot.
Yes,
10 o'clock
mockery is
sunset.
taking over now. My feelings are starting to check in. But it was the simplest scene. And I was there for a little while because my kid thought he was going to be an extra. It turned out that wasn't true. So I don't know why I'm talking about the movie. But car pulling up and a guy picking up a suitcase and walking in. They did that probably 8 times. And it was the simplest scenes. That's all it was pulling up and walking up to the front porch. So I can imagine they're going to be here for another four years to film
And
this
they'll
movie.
do that all day.
Yes.
The one movie that I was an extra in this was really embarrassing. They had like a casting call thing for extras for people who could pass as like either homeless and or convicts. And my sister sent it to me. She's like, this is back when I had like this big, gigantic beard. And
Right.
She's like,
I got pictures if you
Yeah.
can
So
do
my
that.
sister, of course, is like, you should do this. Ha ha ha. I was like, oh, that looks fun. Sure. And so I showed up the next day, and the entire day they were shooting a scene. This was for what was it called? You Can't Win.
Oh, that movie for sure made your list.
Yeah, for sure.
He's been sitting on this story for a couple days.
We've been waiting on this one. That's why we have this podcast, so I can tell this story. So they were filming over in the parking lot over at Harrison and Second, and the star of it was Michael Pitt, not Brad, but like his long lost cousin.
The
Michael.
story just took it down.
Yeah, he was in Boardwalk Empire, which was like a pretty good show. Anyway, they were filming a scene that literally lasted. It was like a 15-second scene where like a police officer. This is like based in like 1900 something. Police officer like beat him up, and they did that scene over and over and over. And I was like, they had like those who were extras kind of off to the side, just standing there. And at first I was like, oh, this is awesome, getting to watch this. And like 4 hours later, I was like, man, getting kind of hungry. I wish maybe they could move this along. Like 4 hours later, I was like, this is the worst decision of my entire life to be here today.
They didn't have enough tax credits to bring in food, apparently.
It started getting cold, and if for one take, and only one take out of 500.
Now you're bragging.
Yeah.
Now you're bragging.
The director looked over at me, like sitting in like the little, extra bullpen kind of thing, where
Right.
they hide us, so they don't have to worry about us.
Extras.
He looked over and he was like, hey you. And I'm like, who me? and he takes me and he like stands me against the wall, and he's like, just kind of lean there against and look tired. And I'm like, well, I can do that because I'm exhausted. And I lean against the wall, and they're like, action, and they film for like 10 seconds, and like, cut, and like, he's like, you, all right, get out. And I just walk over and I stand there for like 3 hours. So, yeah, the life of an extra in a movie is you really have to want to see the process, I guess.
Yeah. Going back to the movie over at the temple I was at, there was like all these people acting.
10 o'clock?
10 o'clock at night. There was all these people acting, and then all of a sudden you see, excuse me, there's like a flashlight and like two people holding umbrellas for whoever the main actress was. Like, oh,
Yeah.
so here we go.
Yeah.
She was in Legally Blonde, or
Reese Witherspoon?
not her,
No?
but one of those.
I'm out. That's all.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's all my temple stories that I have. Of course, hundreds and hundreds of movies been filmed inside the temple. That's like a gold mine.
Oh yeah.
Place.
Yeah. It looks. You can make that place look like any important building on the planet. Whether it's like I always think of like the front of the temple as looking like the courthouse on Law and Order.
Oh,
You know what I think of?
What's that?
Rocky,
Oh yeah.
with the stairs and yeah.
Yep, that's a good one. All right, so I guess when it comes to like the greatest movie of all time that's been filmed in Guthrie,
That's weird. I was going to ask the same thing. So is it Twister or Rain Man?
I think those are like the two probably most famous. I think Twister or Rain Man.
Because I mean those are blockbusters.
Yeah, in terms of star power, Rain Man.
Probably.
Yeah, Hoffman and Tom Cruise. And did we ever figure out who the lead female was? I feel like it's a misogynist.
Oh,
No.
boy.
In Rain Man. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, those two guys alone, those are some heavy hitters.
I wonder where Tom Cruise stayed when he was like a bed and breakfast, or did he like go to
downtown Oklahoma City.
downtown? Yeah, I didn't want to
That's
say.
bad.
I didn't want to say that because that's probably true.
That's probably true.
Bonnie Hunt?
Bonnie Hunt.
Really? Okay. Well, is she related to Helen Hunt? Oh.
Yes.
Is she?
Yes.
For real?
Yes.
I'm learning so much today. So Twister had Helen Hunt and Bill Pullman.
Pullman.
Bill Pullman, not like he had his day.
But man,
Always not
that
listening.
show is still played after.
Yeah.
I mean, all
It's
the
kind
time
of
on
it's the
TV.
iconic Oklahoma movie. Really.
I think so. We didn't get the Hall of Fame though. The Twister Hall of Fame. It's up in Wakita.
What?
There's a Twister Hall of Fame
Seriously?
or Twister
Museum
or something like that.
Oh
They
man.
filmed
Yeah.
there too.
Yeah, they filmed there.
Oh,
Where Helen Hunt's mom lived.
oh that
in the
makes
movie.
sense. It's
Yeah.
all about where your mom lives.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So, but Twister, I forgot this one too. They brought in those big jets to give the sound and the
ooh.
when the set they built
Right.
turned down. It was all that wind and jet from jet engines.
So Twister's probably like the most famous movie filmed here. Maybe that's probably the most famous movie filmed in Oklahoma, I think.
Well, I would think so. I think they filmed in other locations. But a lot of it was here in Guthrie.
I can't think of another Oklahoma movie that's probably more famous than that. I'm drawing a blank.
No,
All right, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Twister wins.
Well, what about some of those Gene Autry and Roy Rogers movies that were made here? You know, back in no.
Oh, they really?
They didn't get those tax credits they wanted back then.
They, you know, Home in Oklahoma. Y'all boys haven't ever heard of that movie? You know,
It was
1949.
It was made in Oklahoma?
Oh
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah. Roy Rogers and Dale Evans.
That's really, it's not,
According to Google, the top movie that's ever been filmed. in
Top movie
Oklahoma,
filmed in Google, or according to Google in Oklahoma, is
The Outsiders.
The Outsiders.
Okay.
Oh.
You know what?
They-
We're done with this segment anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they got their own museum too.
Yeah,
Now,
I'm sure
the,
they
the
do.
old the house from the movie was going to be like demolished or something, and like this was like last year, and what's his name? Jack White, the musician. I guess he was a huge fan of the movie. He decided, I'll just give you like $1 million and save the building. So now it's the Outsiders Museum.
Wow. I
Which
guess
was-
that based on true story.
It was based on the S.E. Hinton novel. I don't know if that was a true story or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Outsiders.
Yeah. So you,
Yeah.
you said Roy Rogers, but there's
Francis
a
Ford Coppola, director.
Coppola directed Outsiders. Yes. Now there's a Gene Autry, Oklahoma, it's a town, right?
Absolutely, down
Was-
by Ardmore.
Okay. Was he actually from there?
No, but in his heyday, he bought a ranch down there. And the little town outside of Ardmore was called Berwyn. See, now we're talking 40s now, so see, boys, I'm in my mid, so you guys can just sit here, yeah.
You like you sit back and like, I got it right
yeah. Yeah, it was in Berwyn, Oklahoma, and he bought a ranch and he raised rodeo stock. And so, being as famous as he was back then, people like Pee Wee King and Minnie Pearl and all of those guys from Nashville and Grand Ole Opry, they wanted to see the ranch. And so the little town really flourished. And in 1941, they changed the name from Berwyn to Gene Autry.
Oh, right on. Right
And a
on.
big
cool.
deal, and changed the name of the town. Big
Where
party.
are you from?
I'm from Norman.
Okay.
Yeah, Norman.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Some obscure
Yeah,
town.
yeah. When I moved up here, one of the scariest things that happened to me was one lady wanted to paint OSU on my face. It's like, what? Not teasing.
That I was in Norman. Oh, we were broadcasting a baseball game for a state championship baseball game, and it's amazing how I was just in the last 2 or 3 years how that place is packed of people and
Yeah.
vehicles.
Out of control.
Yeah.
It is really out of control.
Yeah.
When did you
Holy
move from
smokes.
Norman, or when did you move to Guthrie?
About 2002.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
2002.
brought you here?
Why am I here?
Yeah. Why are you,
Well,
why
I
are
had
you
been
here
in the
again?
RV business for 26 years, and we sold that business. And I wanted to teach, so I'm going to tell you the whole story. I started in Norman, and nothing fit me in the music stores, and went to Moore and Purcell and all the music stores in Oklahoma City. And one day, somehow, I made it to Guthrie, and I walked in the double stop fiddle shop. And met Byron Burline first time in my life. Played a lot of fiddle music prior to that. We sat there and played music for 2 hours or so, and went back home. Told the lady, I think I want to start teaching in Guthrie. And she said, God, did you ask him? I said, no. How far is it? 50 miles. So that's just crazy. So, but anyway, I commuted up here every week for 3 years and taught music in the
Where
store.
at?
At his shop.
At his shop,
Actually,
okay.
At his shop. And there's a Path of Life Christian school out here north of town. And I taught in their school there once a week. and taught fiddle lessons and guitar lessons right here in Guthrie, and then soon decided to move up here, so that's what we did.
All right. Performing music, has that been a lifelong activity for you?
Actually, I've played music, all my life, but I've not been I really did not become what you would call a performer until I actually moved to Guthrie. I played fiddle. I played a lot of fiddle contests and things like that, but that's different than having an audience and that type of thing.
Growing up here in Guthrie, Ferguson Jenkins was here all the time, former Cubs pitcher, Hall of Famer, and you just see him walking in town like, oh, Fergie. You kind of, he's a big deal, but you just kind of see him every day. And so when you see him on TV, they're like, it's a big deal. I bring that up, like Byron Berline. They talk about how good he is worldwide.
Oh.
And we see Byron all the time. We just like, hey, Byron, he's at Walmart shopping. But locally, again, my music background's not the greatest, but and I've read all the Wikipedia, I've done stories on him. How good is he?
Well,
when it comes to that
of
fiddle?
course, it's going to be an opinion, but he won the National Fiddle Championship in Weiser, Idaho, when he was like 18 or 19 years old. He won it 3 times, and said, "Okay, there's not much of a challenge in this." And then when he lived in California, they moved to California. He worked in recording studios and was in high demand. And so if you look at his list of people that they just called and said, we need some inventive stuff, make it up on the fly, it is incredible how many well-known. So, I really love the man, and I would say he's actually probably in fiddle playing high up in the top 10 in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Still today.
There have been so many times when I've looked through like liner notes to these things called CDs, little strange discs that contain music on them. But looking
Careful,
through,
I got about 4,000 of those in the garage I'm needing to sell. So
I got like 50 of them for a penny back in the day, but go ahead.
I had so many CDs in college because of those little.
Oh, yeah.
Oh gosh. But anyway, looking through like liner notes for albums, just because I'd bought something, I wanted to look through it, and so many times just randomly seeing Byron's name on there,
Yeah.
and it wasn't just like bluegrass music. It was, just about any genre, of anything close to rock and roll, country, bluegrass, folk music. Like,
he was even on Star Trek. You boys know he was on Star Trek?
I heard about that.
Yeah,
know
he
that.
he taught Data on Star Trek how to play a tune.
Uh-huh.
Had the big ears, they put them in the
Yeah.
big ears and all that.
Did they get beamed up?
I don't know about all that, but
That's all my.
it's,
Or in Spock.
yeah.
That's all.
Pretty awesome
That's
guy.
all I know.
Yeah. So you brought your guitar today.
I did.
Do you want to play a song?
I will.
All right.
So this is going to have to go back to
See, he uses a pick.
way back when.
All right.
So I don't know. I'll get situated in
I'm
here.
good.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to move. 1949. Broadway was being challenged by Gene Autry and Roy Rogers for entertainment, and so they were selling most of anything and everything, the movies, the records, and whatever. So Broadway started a couple of shows that they made Cowboy, and this is one of the shows. This is one of the songs. Well, I'm an old cowhand from the Rio Grande, and my legs ain't bowed, and my cheeks ain't tan. Well, I'm a cowboy that ain't never saw a cow, never roped a steer, 'cause I don't know how. I sure ain't fixing to start now, man. Yippee-yi-oh-ki-yay, yeah, yippee-yi-oh-ki-yay. One more verse. And I'm an old cowhand from the Rio Grande, and I come to town just to hear the band, where the buffalo roam around the zoo. The Indians will make you a rug or two. The old bar X, it's a barbecue now, man. Yippee-yi-oh-ki-yay, yippee-yi-oh-ki-yay. Yippee-yi-oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It would take me 200 years to learn how to do that. You said that is amazing.
That would not be the song I talked about. Just so we understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if somebody wants to see you play more than one song, like when's the next time you're playing somewhere?
Oh, let's see. It's probably going to be out of state. I do a lot of stuff in Colorado, and so
That sounds awful.
I know.
Rough place to play music.
Yeah, St. James Hotel in Cimarron, New Mexico, probably is going to be the next place I play. That's owned by an Oklahoma fella, Bob Funk, Express.
yeah.
The Clydesdales.
Yeah, the Clydesdales, Express Ranches,
Yeah.
and things like that. He owns that big hotel.
His Clydesdales were in the 89er parade this year.
Yeah, and so was he.
And the big semi, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and yeah,
No, it was the big carriage in the territorial government.
yeah.
Yes.
Berta was riding with him.
Yes.
Yeah,
Roma was our territorial governor this year. You got to ride
Still
on
am.
the.
Yeah.
Still are,
Cool.
yes.
Candidate.
You're serving your time.
serving my time.
That is cool. I mean, I don't play any instrument, and that is really cool to watch.
We gotta fix that. You need to pick an
Yeah,
instrument.
boy.
I can help you out.
There you
I still teach only special people, Chris. So
Well, there you-
it's at the
very
house,
special.
after hours.
Uh-huh.
Nobody knows you come or go. I use the back door.
See, I was watching you. You just. I mean, cause you gotta do something up here, you gotta do something down here. It's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah,
I took lessons from Jim once upon a time.
I remember.
I don't know how many years ago that was. Maybe 10 years ago? Longer than that?
Well, probably about 10 years ago, something like that. That was when I was in my heyday.
Quit after Fortney.
He's like, I can't take this anymore. Kids these days.
You know, I grew up in the 90s, so I love 90s country music. And it's amazing how important a fiddle is to a band. I mean, there's some cool songs with the fiddle, and it just sticks out to me every time. I don't know why the fiddle sticks out to me with the cool parts of many songs that I've come to know.
Yeah, you know, how's the lyrics go? If you're going to play country music, you got to have a fiddle in the band. I think that's one of the lyrics.
That's
in
a good
that
one.
song.
Yeah.
And well, it's a unique thing, you know, when you play a fiddle, because fiddle really is nothing different than a violin, but it's in the method of which you play that. Most violinists play a single note, just a single note, and you play the other note to harmony, and he would play the other note. Sometimes when you take Byron, believe it or not, he can play 3 notes at a time. And so you think, how do you do that? Well, this gets kind of technical, but the bridge, you know, a bridge on a violin is very rounded, so it makes it where this string and this string are far apart. So what they do is they flatten that bridge,
Ah.
and then it becomes extremely difficult just to play one note, because you have to be extremely precise.
Huh.
I mean, unbelievable.
I was thinking it had a lot to do with the bridge. So that leads me to my other question. So what makes the difference between a $200 guitar and a $2,000 guitar? And they might be $20,000. I don't know. What's the difference?
There's a lot of difference. This guitar is all handmade, totally handmade, 100%. No lathes, it's handmade. They took a piece of wood and kept sanding and gouging, or whatever they call that, and put it together. The top is also tuned, meaning that as they grind this down, they're constantly thumping it, and it does make a sound. So a good fiddle does the same thing. It's a tuned top, front and back. And then a lot of guitars are actually laminated the woods together. And so doesn't make them bad guitars, but if you want a guitar that over the years is going to dry out right, mellow out and play right, that's some of the difference.
See, I have a bunch of these questions like this, and I really got upset that I didn't ask them last week. And so with the Cowboy Jim, I had to ask.
You've been waiting all week.
Yes, I was like,
Yeah.
finally letting it get out.
I love the story with David Rawlings, who's a folk music guitar player guy, incredible guitar player. Like he's kind of famous for the guitar he plays is like a pre-war Gibson Olympic, I think.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Really just amazing guitar, and he found it. He was on tour sometime, and he needed to get his amp repaired. Took it to this repair guy who was in like a garage of his house, and the guy's messing with his amp. And David Rawlings sees the shape of a guitar back on this workbench, and it's just covered in sawdust from other projects and stuff. So he just roams over and kind of just sweeps the sawdust off and picks the guitar up, and it's that pre-war Olympic. I think it's what's called a Gibson Olympic. I think is the name of it. And he says he looked at it for a second. It didn't have any strings on it. Nothing. I don't even think it had even tuners at all. He just like kind of the body and the neck. And the guy just let it sit there on his bench for ages and got covered with dust and sawdust. And he kind of brushed it off. And like you said, he turned it around and he just kind of knocked on the back of it. And when he heard what it sounded like when he knocked on it, he goes, "How much?" and the guy, I think he said that the guy was like, "I'll trade you that guitar for the amp that I'm working on." And he was like, "Deal."
Yeah.
And that he's been famous for playing that guitar ever since.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. For sure.
Before we get out of here, I want to be sure to bring this up on camera because before we went on camera, I was telling the crew here that I'm getting ready to go on my first ever cruise and couldn't wait to do it a little bit later this summer. And from what I heard, I'm not going to get any sleep from you. I can't take my kids because they're going to hurt themselves because of you. And Verla says I'm going to be sick for 5 days on the trip. So I'm looking for my refund now. So.
You're going to have a fantastic time.
I can tell you this. Don't eat every time it's available.
You
Cannot eat everything they put out there.
Okay, I YouTubed first time cruiser newbies, and that was one of the top 1 or 2 on there is not to overeat.
Oh, I mean, you can start at 6 in the morning and you can quit at midnight. And they've got something going, and it's elaborate. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So just be cool on the eating, because you'll just get home and go, I don't want to eat for another month. You don't think that could happen, do you?
Yeah, no, because I really don't eat until I get weird. I don't eat till I get hungry. I think most people
then
do.
you'll do fine.
But yeah, I just eat when it's like, oh, it's time to eat.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward. Like I haven't had lunch today. I haven't had breakfast. I haven't had anything today. But it's just whenever I get angry, I eat. So.
Okay.
We talked earlier about my stress when we went on a cruise was my fear of missing the boat. Like when we go on to land, and then I'm always like the entire time like, hey, we gotta get back.
Yeah.
We had my parents went on the cruise with us when we went, and it was time to get back on the boat to go. We were in like, I don't know, Cozumel or someplace, and we looked around and my mom wasn't there. And I'm like, wow, of all the people, like I expected to have to wrangle my kid or something.
Right.
I'm like, oh, mom's gone.
Gone like on ship or on land?
No, she just wandered off into the depths of Cozumel, and we barely made it back on time.
I told I think one of our first stops is Montego Bay, and they said, "Don't worry about the guys with the big guns. They're they're on your team."
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Awesome.
You'll have a blast.
Yeah.
You'll have a blast.
You won't get sick.
Yeah.
Very sick.
I hope not. So be good.
You'll be fine.
All right. So if I'm not back,
You'll be
in
booking
July-
another one.
Yeah,
before-
that's what they say.
Yeah, you'll be booking
That's what
another
Well,
one.
Burley doesn't say that, but.
Yeah. Have you ever been? Well, then what does she know? What does she know? I mean, that's the first time I've said that about Verla, because she pretty much knows.
Yeah.
I'm constantly saying, texting her, what's this been here? What's
Uh-huh.
that? She don't know nothing about cruises, I'm going to say that.
Jim, thanks for coming by.
Oh,
This was a lot
thank you
of
for
fun.
having
This was
me.
awesome.
My pleasure.
Absolutely.
My pleasure to be here. A lot of fun.
We'll see everybody next week on, what's the show called?
Hit the bricks where
Something happens.
We're going to make a song out of that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
jingle time.
Jingle time.
Coming home.